I'm Mike from St. Thomas Economic Development, here with another little update from St. Thomas City Hall. So Steve, we're standing here in front of a beautifully created map of St. Thomas. Credit to Mr. Mike Noon, the master of maps, for putting this together for us. And Steve, we were hoping you could tell us a little bit about the early development of the city of St. Thomas.
Well, St. Thomas really evolved around the Talbot Road. Talbot Street as we know it today, coming in and going out into Southwold Township. In 1809, Malin Burwell laid out the Talbot Road and laid out 200-acre lots on both the north and the south side of the Talbot Road. And each of those lots were given to settlers. The first settlers that arrived in St. Thomas were Daniel Rapelje, who settled on Lot 1, Concession 8 on the Yarmouth side, and William Mandeville, who settled on the Southwold side. There wasn't a lot of development on the Southwold side, but by 1821, Rapelje started to lay out this west end of St. Thomas into building lots, Walnut Street, Centre Street, Church Street. St. Thomas itself, though, had been named in 1817. The first store in St. Thomas was located down here at the northwest corner of the Sunset and the Fingal Road or the Talbot Road. But the early development of St. Thomas very much surrounded around this area. You had the Old English Church that had been constructed in 1822 to 1824. You had a brewery that was located down here on Sunset Drive. There was another brewery located on St. George Street and New Street area. But most of the commercial development of St. Thomas was here in the West End, including, like as an example, down here where Jumbo is today. Even the north side of Talbot had buildings on it. So all of the growth was really down in that West End. In 1837, as an example, a lady by the name of Anna Jameson came through and she described St. Thomas of having a population of about 700 people. We had 3 churches, 3 taverns, 2 breweries, and 2 newspapers. The other important thing that happened for St. Thomas was in 1844 when what we call Sunset Drive was constructed. At the time, it was known as the London and Port Stanley Plank Road, and it literally was a plank road made of wood. Because in the early days, if you came to St. Thomas, you came in from London, and then you went up the Talbot Street hill, down over to Stanley Street, which was originally called Port Stanley Street, and then down Stanley Street, down around the courthouse, and then back down to Sunset Drive, where you would then continue your trek to Port Stanley. So, you know, if you were a merchant, it was challenging. You had 2 big hills that you had to go up. So it was strategically important to see the plank road constructed. And then, you know, St. Thomas, it continued, and the evolution of St. Thomas has been from west to east. And then into the 1840s and 1850s, St. Thomas continued to grow. And then in 1851, 52, you can see the boundaries of St. Thomas were laid out here in pink. And it was in 1852 that St. Thomas was incorporated as a village. And that's also when the county of Elgin was created, and St. Thomas became the capital of the county of Elgin. One of the important features was the construction of the courthouse on Wellington Street and Stanley Street in 1852 and 53, and then a jail was constructed as well. So again, a lot of residential development to support the commercial development. But you can see even in the early days, this long stretch of Talbot Street, which is both a positive thing and a hindrance, very much of the commercial activity of St. Thomas has been associated with Talbot Street. There's been very little commercial activity on any of the side streets. So through the 1850s, this was really the boundary of St. Thomas. And then in 1856, the London and Port Stanley Railway was constructed. And it came down from London and, of course, down to Port Stanley and came along just sort of to the west of St. Catherine Street, and you can sort of follow the route down. And that is what really started to change St. Thomas and lead to some real expansion away from the West End. It's interesting, though, that, you know, we had a fire department, we had a police department at the time, we had City Hall at the time was located at the corner of Talbot and Stanley Streets, but really there was no buildings beyond Elgin Street. The earliest large brick building that is still standing on Talbot Street is at the southwest corner of Talbot and Metcalfe Street, and that was known as the Metcalfe Block, and that building was built in 1854. There's still a lot of remnants of old buildings dating back into the 1830s and 1840s in the West End, but things really started to change with not only London Port Stanley Railway, but with the coming of when the announcement was made in 1870 of 2 railways that were going to pass through St. Thomas, and that really caused a significant transformation in the city.
Thanks, Steve, for that fantastic description of some of the past of the city of St. Thomas. I'm looking forward to seeing the impact that the railway had in a future episode with you. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and stay tuned for another little update coming soon.
And the important thing is that you smash that subscribe button.